Remember, when you're out, I try my best to always have the video for you guys so that you can kind of watch the class. So again, using scale to find area and perimeter. This is going to be page 29. And if you'll also write that down on page 29 as well. And again, notes are always here on the slides. I've hyperlinked all throughout the slides for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to come around and hand you guys a sheet here. And we'll glue this down here in just a second. If you want to cut it in from it, you can. We can glue these in sideways. Or if you want to cut and stack them, that's fine. The bottom half of the one sheet will kind of cut off, but you can fix that one. Yes. So you each get your own. And again, if you want to go ahead and cut and trim, we'll glue it down in a minute because we're going to add something to our notes first. That is your choice. That's completely your choice. But we do need to fit something at the top. Let's see, I think this will fit this way. Let's see. When we're gluing these down, we can kind of overlap a little bit. But this might be the easiest way to get them to fit. What do you mean color? I would. Since these are definitions for it. Okay, so again, this is probably how I would glue it down. So we are going to define perimeter right quick, and we are going to define area. So however you get them squeezed on there, I want you to get those two definitions in there as well. So perimeter and area are two words that we are going to define. Actually, a little bit smaller than yours. and the green dot this week is the trash collector. So you guys can give your trash to the green dot. If you don't have a green dot, then it's the leader, who is a yellow dot. Okay. So who can tell me the difference between perimeter and area? What would be the difference between perimeter and area? Bethany.
Area is multiplication and perimeter is adding.
Okay. So definitely there is a difference between the operations that is used. The operation used for perimeter is addition, and the operation for area is the multiplication. So where is perimeter found? Inside or outside? Outside. And the area is found where? The inside. Good. Okay, so you are going to have some questions today and tomorrow dealing with perimeter and area, so I wanted to make sure that you guys knew the difference. So perimeter is the distance around. And we use adding or addition. So again, perimeter is the distance around, and it's using addition. Area is the space inside, right? Inside, I'm gonna say an object. And we use multiplication. And if you want to shorthand these operations, you can do a plus sign for addition. You can do a multiplication symbol for multiplication. So in your math notebook, everybody has a strategy called cubes. So flip to see if you can find cubes. Cubes should be on page 5 in your math notebook. So with a lot of geometry does a lot with word problems. And so cubes is a strategy that we like to use where you can kind of pick out your report information, you can kind of work through, see what it is you're finding. There's a lot of places in the room, at least 2 places in the room, cubes across here to help you remember to do it, and a cubes on that side on the green board to help you with the strategy. But this is a strategy that I do look for, especially whenever we work with word problems. So everybody should be on the page 5 where you have cubes. Okay, so we're going to look at each individual part so that way we know how to use this, and we're going to apply it today whenever we work through these problems. So if you have a highlighter, different color highlighters, different color pencils, something like that, that's helpful. But again, we're going to look at each individual part. So cubes is an acronym, which means all the letters represent a word. Cubes begins with C. And when we're looking at that, that means that we are going to circle key numbers and their units. We're going to circle key numbers and their units. Now, sometimes numbers are not always in their numerical form, but they're written in word form. So any number, we're going to add this here. Any number in word form should be written in numerical. So that means you're just going to change that to a number that is going to help you understand and see the important numbers that we need to do in our word problems. Okay, so we're going to look at this. This right here was an example of something we were going to use to kind of practice using cubes. So again, C stands for circling key numbers and units. And any kind of number that's in word form needs to be rewritten in numerical form. So if we read this problem right over here, It says a bag holds 23 and 3/4 cups of sugar. A recipe for chocolate chip cookies uses 1 1/4 cups of sugar. How many batches of chocolate chip cookies can be made with 1 bag of sugar? So looking through that, what are some important numbers in their units that you think we need to know? Yep. So we would circle 23 and 3/4, and we would include the word cups. What else did we do? 1 1/4, and we would also include cups. Are there any other numbers? There are. Yes. 1 bag, right? 1 bag. So 1 is written in word form, so we need to cross that out and write it as a number, right? So the word 1 obviously means 1. You have to pay attention to those little small details because sometimes whole, entire, all these could be number 1. Okay, let's look at the U. What does U stand for? Underline. And what do we underline? Good guess, but the question, yes. Yeah, good guess though. So U stands for underlining, and we underline the question. Now I know that whenever we do like the NC check-ins and EOGs, it's really kind of hard to underline on the computer. However, you can always highlight. So it's kind of the same process. You would just highlight instead of doing the circles and the boxing and everything. So let's look at this problem again, and let's identify what the question is. What is the question? Yep. So how many batches of chocolate chip cookies can be made with 1 bag of sugar? That will be what we would underline, the question. Sometimes the question can appear at the end of the problem. Sometimes it can appear at the beginning or in the middle. So you have to be able to identify the question. Okay, now let's go back over here and look at B. What does B represent? Right. Box any math action words. Now I'll be honest with you. Sometimes they have math action words. Sometimes they do not. So it just kind of depends on the problem. Again, we're going to put a box around anything that's a math action words like add, subtract, multiply, or divide. These are clue words. Clue words. You have information in your math notebook on clue words. And there's also a bulletin board in here at the front of the room that has clue words listed too. Okay, so let's look through this problem and see if there is anything we can box. See if there are any words that would mean add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Do you think there are any words, Will? Okay, so how many means we're looking for numbers. That is true, but I don't think that would be like add, subtract, multiply, or divide. But that's a good start. This particular one does not have anything to box. There's nothing on there that will tell you. So you kind of have to use your own intuition about, what are the steps I need to take? That's where the E is going to come into play. So what is E? Right. Evaluate and eliminate. Sometimes you have information within your word problems that you do not need. For example, sometimes they throw in dates or different things like that. That is not necessary to help answer the question. But basically, you're looking at what steps should I take and which information do I not need. So again, if there's nothing to box, then you have to kind of think about it and think about the process. Now, if there's something to box, then that's easy to do it. So looking at this, you have a whole bag or a bag of holds 23 and 3/4 cups of sugar, and a recipe for chocolate chip cookies uses 1 1/4 cups of sugar. So here's my whole bag. I'm going to draw a picture for you. And again, this whole thing is 23 and 3/4. And if I want to make a batch, here's my bowl. Okay, don't make fun of my pictures. That's a drawing. Okay, and inside this bowl is 1 1/4 cups of sugar needed. So it wants to know how many of these 1 1/4 cups can come out of it to make the batches of cookies. So would you do addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? Division, right. So coming out of, or you can do repeated subtraction, but easiest way to do would be to take 23 and 3/4 and divide it by 1 1/4. You need to write down this work. If you want to draw my picture, you can. I was just showing you guys the kind of like thinking through it, the process, what my brain is seeing in my head. I was drawing it out for you guys. Okay, and then what does the S stand for? Well, it says to show, solve, and check, right? So solve it, check it, make sure you show the work for it. And always check to make sure that your answer makes sense. Some of us are kind of just sitting there. I need you guys to make sure you're also highlighting or putting the information in. All right, so let's go ahead and show, solve, and check this right here. So this is dividing fractions. So when we divide fractions, what's important for us to remember? What? Keep, change, flip, KCF, right? So KCF, I keep the first one, change it, flip it. We also need to take any mixed numbers and change them into what? Improper fractions, right? So I'm going to go ahead and write this out like this. Change. And this will be 1 4/1. Same thing. Okay, let's go ahead and flip it. Not flip it, but change it into improper. I'm sorry, I did this wrong. Let's change it into improper first. So 23 and 3/4. Any ideas? How much? We got to do 23 times 4, right? Because 80 and 12 is what, 92? 92 plus 3 is 95. So this is 95/4. And then 4 times 1 plus 1 is 5/4. Now we can flip it. So 95/4 change, and it becomes 4/5, right? Now, if you had the same number on top as you do on the bottom of the opposite, you can cross those out. And they become ones, called cross simplification. And then you can just divide. I'm going to go ahead and give you that. That's going to be 19 batches. Okay, so we are going to use cubes. This right here, this whole thing, again, is on the board, both sides, to apply to this problem right here. So let's go ahead and go look at this problem. Circling, underlining, boxing, evaluating, eliminating, solving. All right, so this problem says that Charlotte plans to paint a wall mural of the poster print shown below. So this is a poster print. This is what she's going to paint on the wall. What is the area of the actual wall? The scale of the poster is 2 inches is to 3 feet. So C represents circling. What would you circle? Yep. You can circle this. Is there anything else that you would? Well, I would also circle these because these are the dimensions of the poster. Some of us are not doing this step. And if you do not do this step in your work today, you will not get the full completion grade. Okay, so that's circling. U stands for underlining. What will we underline? Right. What is the area of the actual wall? Okay, also here, I might kind of look at important words, important vocabulary. Is there anything here that would be some important vocabulary we need to know? Area. Anything else? I would say the word scale, because like if you see these words, area, scale, that means you're going to set up some proportions. Aiden, are you highlighting for me? And actual. Actual tells you the placement of what you're looking for. Huh? Model over actual. So it's model to the actual. Yep. All right. So we have 3 steps that we're going to use for this process. So our very first step, step 1, is going to be to use cubes. Okay, and we just did that step, right? Okay, so here comes our second step. Our second step, we're going to use proportions to find actual lengths. Sorry, they kind of ran together. So we're going to use proportions to find the actual lengths. So we are given the model or the drawing lengths. We need to find proportions to then find our actual. All right. So whenever it comes to area of a rectangle, we have length times width, right? So let's work with length first. Gosh, I cannot talk today. What always goes on the left-hand side of our proportion? The scale, right? It's the ratio, the scale ratio. So the first number goes on top, which will be 2 inches. And the second number will go on the bottom, which will be 3 inches. No, sorry, 3 feet. So if I'm looking at length, is that 20 inches or 36 inches? This is width. This is length. So 36. So I need to solve for this. Solve your proportion. That's when you go across and you multiply 3 times 36, and then you divide by the number that you did not circle. Okay, what did you get? 54. Good. There's one number. So now we need to do width, right? Setting up our proportion. And one way to always make sure that your numbers are going in the right spot is, again, that you guys include your units and just match your units. So if you forget how to set this up, if you're given a scale, just set it up somewhere and then just match all the units you have. Like this one can go on top here, and then we're solving for this. So again, 3 times 20, and then divide by 2, which will be what? 30. That's my second number. So then my step 3 will be to find the area. And as I said, some of this got kind of cut off. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. What is the length measurement? 54. Good. And anytime you plug in for a variable, always put it in parentheses. And the width measurement? 30. Okay, let's multiply those and stand up when you get it. And what did you guys get? You got what? That's what I got. And then we need to include our units, which will be feet squared. Right? Okay, so we have 2 more examples that we're going to practice. And then I'm going to let you guys work in groups through the problems. All right, so with this particular problem right here, number 1, I'd like for you guys to go through, do the circling, do the underlining. Go through, read the problem, do the circling, and then do the underlining. Again, this will be the expectation that you guys will need to do today whenever you're working through classwork. Okay, so this is what I would circle. And underline. You guys have the same thing? Good. Okay. Whenever you read through this, was there anything that you could box? Okay. Area. Well, scale would be not a box word, but it is an important word. It's a vocabulary word, so it is something we need to know. Okay. So the next step will be to kind of work out the problems, right? Something that's always helpful for me is if I draw it out. So with geometry, if they do not give you a picture, but you see it in your head, draw it. What would be our width measurement on the side? 6 inches. And across the top? Or the bottom? 10 inches. Okay, so we did step 1, and now we need to do step 2. Step 2 is what? It says proportions to find the actual lengths, right? So we need to use the scale to find it. If you need to show work and you need to go up above or the side of it, that's fine. If you have some space here, that's fine. So let's go ahead and set up our proportions. We have 2 different measurements that we need. You can say one is for L, one is for W. Okay, so for every inch is 2 feet, then what would the length be? The actual length. Every inch is equal to 2 feet. What would the whole actual length be? If my length is 10 inches, for every 1 inch is equivalent to 2 feet, then how many total feet would be the distance? Just tell me if anybody knows. Really? Yes, thank you. Yes, Jay, thanks. Okay, it would be 20. For every inch is equivalent to 2 feet. So if on my side, for every inch is equivalent to 2 feet, then the actual width would be what? 12, thank you. Okay, so then our step 3 will be to what? Find the area. So find the area, stand up when you got it. Okay, did you get A, B, C, or D? C. C is correct. Okay, so next I want you guys to try this in your groups. Try the next one in your group, and when everybody in your group has an answer, you agree on it, then you can stand up. So if you're you can scoot over, you too. you need to slide over, that's fine. If you need a little bit of guidance, I kind of set it up for you a little bit, what I circled and what I underlined, some of the proportions that I set up. Make sure your units always match, going side to side. Whenever your group has an answer. Your group includes either the 3 or 4 people, or in this case 2, in your group. It means you have to talk to everybody. You're going to work in the back in here shortly. All right, so you guys can see it. Most of us have it. Just hearing conversations. So again, I kind of drew myself a picture that way I could see where the width and where the length was located. Then I set a proportion for the width and the length. I found that the width of the actual is 32 feet and that the length of the actual would be 80 feet. So then the area for this is to multiply the two together since it's a rectangle. So 80 times 32, and I got 2,560 square feet. Okay, very good. All right, so in just a moment, I'm going to come around and give you guys a sheet. When you get this sheet, if you'll put your name on it and week 4 and today's date. So it looks like this. You can write on this. So name, date, class period, and again, week 4. So you can write on this. If you need more space, you are welcome to use another sheet of paper. So everybody can get one. All right, so again, you put your name on it, date, class period. This helps me, especially like if you put the class period or something like that on it. If you have no name, which the no name papers are over there, then the class period can help determine who it was. All right. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to let you guys go back to the back. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes in your group to work through these. You do need to show cubes. Anytime we have word problems, you need to show cubes. I expect everybody to be working on the same problem and growing through it together. Number 1 starts here. 2 is over here. 3, and then 4. Okay, so everybody understand. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's kind of how it works. At your stations on your baskets is your station number. So this is always going to be your station number. Your station numbers will always be on your basket. So it should go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have numbers at the round tables in the back. So whatever station number you are, that's the table you go to in the back. Okay, do we understand? Okay, so we're going to work together. Yes. Not yet. Oh, yes. After the one book on school, after restart.
Oh.
Okay, so if you're ready, then you can take your stuff, you can go to the back, and we're going to work together within your groups. I'll give you guys about 10 minutes, and then we'll go over a couple and see if you guys need any help.